time is just after 6 o'clock, and I'm going to call to order a meeting of the Plan Commission. My name is Matt Sternig, Alderman District 4. I will be chairing this evening's meeting as Mayor Ongard is out of town, but joining via phone. We do have a quorum of our meeting with Commissioners Jeff Schlamer and Max Marichal excused absence. More than 24 hours prior to this meeting, the meeting was properly posted in accordance with state statute. If all could, please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item this evening is the approval of minutes from our regular meeting on January 6th. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mike.
Second.
And is that Paul?
Yep.
Thank you very much. We have a motion to second. Any additions, deletions, corrections that need to be made to those? There being none, all those in favor, signal by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. The next item on our agenda is a public hearing in action for some zoning amendments, and then we're going to wrap into that potentially site plans and certified survey map. John, I'll turn it over to you to introduce that.
Sure. Thank you, Matt. Our first public hearing this evening is for a zoning amendment. It's ZPU 25-009. It's the action is a request for a zoning amendment to add a planned unit development overlay over the existing RD2 two-family residential district for approximately 1.57 acres to allow for approval of a site plan for design flexibility and for shared site amenities located on the west side of Stratford Road and approximately 450 feet north of Highmount Street by Lange Urban Sustainable Homes.
Thank you. I'm going to also include the site plan and the certified survey map as part of the brief, just since they're all interrelated, and then they actually kind of all go together.
Do you want me to read those into the, open them all at once?
Yeah, you probably should.
Okay. Taking the three items on the agenda together, the site plan under 5A is a request for approval of a site plan for 6 two-family homes as a planned unit development located on the west side of Stratford Road, approximately 450 feet north of Highmount Road by Lange Urban Sustainable Homes. And item 5B, it's a certified survey map, a request for approval of one-lot certified survey map located on the west side of Stratford Road, approximately 450 feet north of Highmount Road by Lange Urban Sustainable Homes. Jim.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So this site plan or packet proposal is for for 6 duplex units on one lot. The lot is actually being created by a certified survey map combining 8 individual lots that were platted back in the 60s and combining it into one property for the development. This development, again, is going to consist of 6 buildings, 12 total units. They're also asking, as part of the proposal, a planned unit development overlay district. What this request is for is to help with design flexibility for that property and to provide some relief for other site amenities, including stormwater, relief to some of the setbacks, which would include a larger setback to the northern end. Typically, we would have an 8-foot setback for that. But by reducing the setbacks in between the buildings on the northern end of that, it gives us another additional 4 feet, so we can get a 12-foot separation for that and still maintain fire code requirements for the other buildings with the 10-foot separation. We also have shared amenities for access. One main driveway is coming into the site, and then the houses will all have garage access to the rear of the site via that shared driveway. The stormwater management for the property is required for the entire thing for all 12 of those buildings, and they're going to have a shared stormwater facility for that. The utilities also need to be extended. Water will be extended from Jackson Drive then to the south, and then cut back over and go in between a lot and reconnect into the high mount, or the northwestern water main there, creating that public loop for that. Sanitary sewer exists in the road already, and laterals will be extended from that to each of the units. And then there is existing stormwater pipe that's on that property that will actually be relocated and be conducive with the site layout and laying underneath the driveway and connecting back into the main system. The architectural building elevations for this consist of, let me just grab some of my notes here. Is going to be an LP cedar textured siding along with LP trim, and then there's going to be a roof tile system in place on these units. During the review, Public Works had a comment about garbage collection. If they are going to have public garbage collection, they will need to make sure that the carts are taken out to the public street where they will not drive into the private driveways to access the refuse containers. Landscaping is being provided throughout the site. There are some landscape changes that staff is asking for. That includes changing of the landscaping to provide some more some more landscaping along that north edge between that single-family house and the two-family house, and then some additional landscaping throughout the site itself by the stormwater pond. So staff would recommend approval of all three of the items, the zoning amendment for that PUD overlay for those design flexibilities and those design changes, and then also approval of the site plan and the certified survey map. That certified survey map I did need to mention too will include changing of the easements out there for that public storm sewer. So staff would recommend approval with the conditions listed in each one of the memos.
Thank you for that overview of that, Jim. We'll take all three, the zoning amendment, the site plan, and the certified survey map as a single set. At this point, I'll entertain a motion from the commission.
I'll approve. I move to approve.
We've got a motion
Second?
and a second. Thank you, Jed and Mike, and we'll open it up for discussion. Yep, go ahead, Jed.
I just wanted to clarify in the landscaping, now there's 25-foot setback between this and the homes on Northwestern, and you mentioned landscaping. Is that where the landscaping is going to go? Or it's not in here now?
We're asking for some additional landscaping in the rear of the property, along with even the front, and then also on that far north end where there's the transition from the single family to that two-family.
Okay, that was the only concern I had, that because right now it's pretty bare, and I think that there should be a landscape buffer for them, so.
Go ahead.
I had a question about, is there, I don't see it in their spots, because there's gonna be 12 sets of garbage and recycling out there. Is there a spot where those are going, or are they just gonna be on the street?
Typically with the carts, they are stored within the building and then taken out to, so what they're gonna have to do is actually take the carts out to the front to Stratford to have it collected.
Well, yeah, that's what I figured.
Or they'll have to provide a screened area for a central collection, and then it would be private collection.
And there's no sidewalk between, so they'll have to walk their cart out.
Yeah, they'd walk it through their driveway.
I'm just more so thinking of garbage day when all those are out there in the street in the summer, and there's baseball across the street. That's gonna be, because they don't just put them out there for a couple hours, they're out there for the whole day, I'm sure, and
Yeah, I'm not sure what the parking actually is out there either.
Well, pick up at 7:30 in the morning on Monday morning. So pick up easy, that they do pretty good.
okay.
But the point about cans being left all day.
Well, the same rules would apply for a single family. You have so much time to get your can back in. Probably what will happen is they'll probably all be grouped at the end of the driveway in one location at the curb. They will be grouped, so you'll see them probably more visible, but if there was individual driveways, you'd basically have the same number of cans, except they just be spaced out, so,
Yeah, I only bring it up because there's gonna be 12 sets.
Yep.
That's a lot. That's a lot. With nowhere to go.
Any, go ahead, Mike.
Have there been any comments from the residents on Northwestern? No, the people from the
Yeah, we
neighbors.
sent out notice to everyone within 200 feet. We have not received any comments or anything from, on this mailing set that we had.
actually, you do have, this is actually so 4A is actually a public hearing, so did we open a public hearing up?
Oh, we did not.
No, you jumped, sorry. So I actually think we need to undo the vote. You could undo the motion, have discussion, and, sorry.
So thank you for that. That was a
Delayed.
procedural miss on my part. I'll blame the mayor for that. At this.
Hey now, hey now.
Oh, he's there.
Yeah, he's here. At this point then, Judd, would you be willing to withdraw your motion?
Done, yes.
Thank you very much. Motion has been withdrawn. At this point, we'll open a public hearing and request action for a request for the rezoning amendment as John had earlier stated. So at this point, the public hearing is now open. If you have any comments that you would wish to address the commission, now is your chance to do so. Please step up to the podium, state your name and address, and address the commission.
About rezoning, not about site plan.
Say that
I'm
again.
sorry, Jen?
Comments are about rezoning.
Yes,
Correct.
it's about the planned unit development rezoning,
Yes.
correct.
Linda Smeaton, and I live at 2116 Stratford Road. My apologies for letting you know about the garbage collection without having permission to do so.
Well, it was my mistake for not issuing the public, opening the
I thought
public.
you were moving a little
hearing
fast,
first.
but that's okay, that's okay. So my limited understanding is that this property will be then just like one big main property? That's what the overlay district
Correct.
is
What it,
doing? It's, instead of being individual separate lots, it's all,
correct. It used to be 8 individual lots. Now they're combining it into one, and then they're gonna put the 6 buildings on that one property.
okay.
And it still meets the basic zoning requirements for density and how many units per acre can be
Okay.
put on it. and
And then I appreciate the landscaping comment about both on Northwestern and then on the northern end of the property, which would be my southern end of the property. And then what, you were talking though about setbacks, I didn't quite catch that.
Yeah.
On the
So is,
northern side?
yep, I'm part of the PUD. There are the 6 buildings that are on the north side of the shared driveway. What they're asking for and what we asked them to do is reduce the building separation between each one.
Okay,
Typically, they had 12 feet between them.
Okay.
We reduced it down to 10 feet, and by doing that, that gave an additional 4 foot on that north end. So the setback would have been, typically would have been 8 foot.
okay,
By reducing the setbacks between the buildings, it gave an additional 4 foot, so there's a 12-foot separation between the
Okay.
northern building and your property line.
okay. And then the driveway that we're talking about, is that gonna be like in the middle of the property? I mean, roughly where it is
Yes.
now, so it'll be even split of
Yes.
6
3 and
units
3.
and 6
It's gonna-
units, or
Correct, it's gonna be 3 units or 3 buildings on each
duplexes
side of the
and then
driveway.
3 duplexes.
Correct.
Okay. All right, and have you seen a mock-up of what this is gonna look like? Are they side by
Yes.
sides, or are they upper and lowers?
They're 2-story. Can we switch the monitors over to the display? I have a display for that.
You want to go to slide 39 or 40, Jim? Just to help you get there quicker.
So these are some of the renderings that you should be able to see it on the front screen there,
Okay,
I think,
other
and
monitors.
39's from about a month ago. 40 is the most up-to-date. 40 and 41
I
are the
had-
newer drawings.
These also. Yeah. Figured the pretty renderings, the colored renderings were more
Okay, with the garage, as you said, being in the back,
correct.
okay.
The north three, it'll be in back, and the southern three, it'll be under, correct?
Yes.
Yes, so yeah, the
They're
southern
narrower,
three will
not as
actually have a
deep.
garage under the building, so it'll be in the basement
And the
level.
grades also.
Yep.
Okay.
And then the northern ones will have the garage off the back, but will have a upper patio
Patio.
deck type.
Okay, all righty. I think that's all for me. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Any other comments from those present at the meeting this evening?
Move the public hearing be closed.
Second?
I've got a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. The public hearing is closed. At this point, I'll entertain a motion on the zoning, the site plan, and the certified survey map.
I'll move.
Thank you very much, Jed
I'll second.
and Mike. I appreciate the second. For the commission, any additional comments or questions on this matter?
Just a staff question for the motion includes all the conditions for each of the individual items, since each item has slightly different conditions, correct?
Yes.
So Jim, I don't know if this is the right time to ask the question, but I'll throw it out there and you can push it off to a future meeting if necessary. But thinking about a discussion point we had with the Emery, with this site layout, have you had any discussions about location of air conditioning compressors? Would those go on the side in the 10-foot setback space, or with the garage being on the back? Obviously, there's, no real backyard to drop one in, so is it gonna go on the front side?
Yeah, I'm not sure how they have their design.
I'm gonna ask RJ to come up.
Yeah, I don't know, RJ, if you can explain where your HVAC would go for the air conditioners?
So this is actually something we've been working on. I mean, our thought would be to try and hide them as best as possible, so if we could put them on the inside and between the buildings, they'd be less visible. We had talked sometime putting them in the front, like you talked about with the back, but our intention was probably to put them on the sides unless we were told otherwise, so they're hidden in between the buildings.
I recall the discussion on the Emery was the desire to not put them on the front, but that was also like within 12 feet of the sidewalk. So we've got a little more setback here. I don't know if our position would change on that.
You could make that a requirement of the planned unit development overlay in terms of flexibility that has a list of different things. You could certainly just make a statement that they're not allowed within the visible from this front road, so they have to be in the side or the rear of the building. That's typically where you see it on a residential house,
Right.
is in the side or the rear, so that wouldn't be.
Yeah, I wouldn't have an issue with that. And again, with having a park across the street, putting them on the front is not as much of a noise nuisance as it was at the Emery, but still, from a standard perspective, our preference as a city, I think, is to not have them on the front side. So I think putting on the side would be a reasonable condition. And back on the garbage piece, just for the sake of asking, could we also put a condition on that this overlay would require private garbage services rather than city services in order to, have, although I don't know if a truck would be able to get in and make that radius and so forth anyway.
We don't have a city standard that would require that. If, in this instance, I mean, Public Works can't go and get it from they won't service off of the private alley, but they will provide, we do provide service to duplexes, so we don't have anything that would say in our ordinances that we would not provide it to. So I think that's really,
And we don't have a
I think
precedent
it's-
where we've done it with other condo
No, like
developments.
for-
The development may choose to do it, correct?
condo, I mean, we have a number of condos that are on public roads and people just take them to the end of their driveway. In this case, it's a private alley, so that's the difference. It's not multifamily, so it's not like at the Emery where they have it's considered commercial, so we don't provide the service. They are duplexes, so I think it's more of a logistics of when people buy the units, do they want to walk the can that far? Would it be easier as a group to have a private, you could probably sort of somewhere in the back alley put a small corral or something like that, but then that truck would come down and empty everything and then probably come back out, that kind of thing, so. I'm not sure we could, I mean, I suppose you could probably say where the cans can be located at the end of the driveway or something between the one sidewalk and there, but enforcement of that is gonna be
Yeah, I don't want to get the city into something like that. And just,
difficult.
yeah, okay.
Can we ask them to put a space up front on the side of the driveway or something where they go to get them, to keep them off the road?
Do they have to be, Jim, do they have to be in the road for the machine to actually operate?
They do,
Yeah,
and they
so
have
they-
to be so many feet apart and so they can get
So
the
they have
arm
to,
in.
in order for the garbage, you have to have them separated and all that, so they're gonna be stretched out, for instance, to pave an area between the sidewalk and the curb to hold them, I'd actually be afraid people would start to think, oh, I can just keep it here all week long.
Right. Yeah, then that moves into grant of privileges and stuff like that also,
Yeah, I think that would,
for right-of-way use.
I would think that would send the whole conversation of the dumpster or the trash cans in a completely different direction of.
A question I do have then in that regard, and you might be able to answer this, is that will there be an HOA that will be formed as a part of this, or some sort of association formed as a part of this that will handle things like the landscaping, maintenance, things of that nature, or will these all be, because they are all individual owner-occupied units, all be responsible for their own landscaping, maintenance, lawn cutting, lawn care, those types of things?
Depends on how he's gonna set it up.
Yeah, I think generally the main landscaping, the maintenance of the water line that we're making with the easement and stuff is gonna be all lumped into one that they're all responsible for. Right, I think that it's important to have, all the units maintained at a certain level, especially on the outside and exterior. Right, we don't wanna have someone not do a roof and someone else maintain the buildings. In regards to the garbage, maybe a solution could be, not maybe putting a pad on the road, but having a pad, on the main entry on the side there that they could have it, lined up there, and then they just have to wheel it from there. But of course, the negative is they have to walk their garbage to that spot throughout the time. There's no real perfect solution on that, but that's also a thought. We could just put a cement pad, in the middle of that main, thing there. That way they're not wheeling all the way across the alley to the corners.
And it's not 12 garbage cans, it would be 24, garbage and recycling.
Right, 12 sets.
If you're thinking about spacing.
Yeah, I appreciate the response. The reason for my question was if at a future date, these homeowners decided that they're all tired of wheeling all their wheelbarrow or their barrows out to the road every Sunday night and Monday morning or Monday afternoon, returning them back to the garage.
Sure.
Whether as a part of that, they, as an association, could then decide to
Vote on it.
move forward with private. And that would,
Certainly could.
something that would come back before
I
the
mean,
commission.
So we could
Yeah, I
have,
mean, if you wanted to hire a private garbage collector to come to your single-family home and pick it up instead of having the city do it, you could do that. Nothing would. So yes, they could do that without any, I don't think they'd have to. The only thing probably is if they weren't going to be stored in their garages and they were going to create a corral, they'd have to probably come in and get approval, whatever that corral would look like.
Understand
Yep.
that would be something that would have to
Yep.
come back before the commission. But what I'm getting at is there is future flexibility if the current plan doesn't become something that's feasible or acceptable for that group of homeowners. Jed, you look like you have a question.
Well, it's just, and I guess this is a marketing thing. It's only the observation that for the people living on either end, unless they want to keep these garbage bins in their home, they're going to have to wheel it out of their garage and go all the way to the middle and then up that driveway to the curb. And that's really inconvenient. I mean, it's going to be your problem to sell these, but I don't know if people are going to be very happy about that. And I don't see any way around it the way the layout is and the way the topography is. It's not really it's not a site plan issue. I mean, it's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah, I think you're right. It becomes a marketing issue, not
Yeah.
a site plan issue. Therefore, probably not a plan commission issue.
I wouldn't vote against it because of that.
Right.
It doesn't meet our criteria, but
It's sort of, it's one of those things where people, like if you have a single-family home, you start off with your garbage can in your garage, and then you get more stuff, and then it doesn't fit, so then you put the garbage can on the side of the garage, and, it might be an evolution of the owners, how they choose to do that.
or you keep it in the family room.
Any other questions or comments? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving ZPU-25-009, SP-25-025, and CSM-25-015, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. Our next agenda item is an extraterritorial certified survey map. John, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks. This is a request for approval of combining two lots into one lot on an extraterritorial certified survey map located at 5344 and 5350 Woodland Drive in West Bend, Wisconsin. I'll hand it over to Jim.
Thank you. So this certified survey map is to combine two existing properties. It's a lake property on Silver Lake. The property is within our planning area and also within the Silver Lake Sanitary Sewer District. The CSM, again, is just to combine them into one property to eliminate the internal property line. And the CSM does provide or does identify the existing easements out on the property, and staff would recommend approval as presented.
Thank you for that, Jim. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mike.
Second.
And thank you, Paul, for the second. Any comments or questions on this topic? There being none, all those in favor, signal by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. Our next agenda item is a 2020 comprehensive plan amendment.
Yes, this evening we have a comprehensive plan amendment number 45 for consideration of approval to schedule a public hearing at the earliest convenience for a change in the recommended 2020 land use plan for approximately 72.3 acres located at the southeast corner of South Main and West Rusco Road, or Drive, sorry, from single-family residential and wetlands to single-family residential, two-family residential, multifamily residential, and wetland land use. Items E1 and E2 also are related, but
And these
Might
are
be-
all to schedule a public hearing, correct? That's the discussion this evening.
yes, so the zoning amendments, a public, yes, all three of them are to schedule public hearings, correct?
Okay.
Do you want to take it all at once?
Yeah, I would
Okay.
be fine with that.
All right, so E1 is a discussion and consideration to schedule a public hearing at the earliest convenience for a zoning map amendment located at the southeast corner of South Main Street and West Rusco Drive from RS4 single-family residential, SW shoreline wetland, and NSW non-shoreline wetland district to RS4 single-family residential, RD2 two-family residential, RM4 multifamily residential, SW shoreline wetland, and NSW non-shoreline wetland. And E2 is an introduction and discussion and consideration to schedule a public hearing at the earliest convenience for a zoning map amendment located on the southeast corner of South Main Street and West Rusker Drive for a planned unit development overlay for 72.3 acres mixed residential development. I'll turn it over to Jim.
Thank you.
Oh, actually, I was
Or do you
going
want the
to do it,
pre-state?
wasn't I? Sorry, I totally
That's
slipped
the,
on.
that's the next item. That's the.
Oh, nope, you're doing that one. Yep. Okay, go ahead.
Did
Sorry.
you want, when did you want the other presentation?
I thought maybe you just
Okay.
briefly update them, and then you can turn it over to the developer.
Sure, perfect. All right. Thank you. So the next three items, as John discussed, is that they're all related for change of land use and then also the change of zoning. So the, back in January, the Plan Commission reviewed a concept plan from the developer for the mixed-use residential subdivision, which included single-family, multifamily, and two-family uses in this area, along with some wetland areas also. The proposal includes changing from all single-family, which is currently in our land use plan, and then providing a change to two-family on the eastern half, and kind of centralized in the development, and then multifamily on the far east side, kind of nestled in and around the two-family. The land use would provide a buffer from the industrial to the east, and there's adequate separation from the existing single-family uses to the north, and would provide a transition for that also. So staff is looking for the Plan Commission's endorsement of the change so we could advertise at the next available meeting for the land use change. The zoning, which goes hand in hand with that, again, is right now RS4 single-family residential, and the developer is proposing to go to the RS4 on the western part of the development, and then transitioning over to the RD2 two-family and the RM4 multifamily for the townhouses. The last item that we have is a PUD overlay district that's gonna encompass the entire property. This PUD overlay is to help with design changes for the development to help promote the development of this property. Those elements include depth changes to the lot requirements that we have. Our subdivision codes requires 120-foot minimum lot depth. They're asking for a reduction in the lot depth from anywhere from 97 feet to 118 feet in some of these areas where it gets pinched a little bit tighter. We also had asking a reduction for some of the single-family lots to go from a 6,000 square foot lot down to a 5,900 square foot lot. And then also for the ranch duplex, they're asking for some relief on setback requirements for that. In this case, they're looking at 0 lot line setbacks and separations for some of the buildings for that. And then also for the multifamily, looking for a reduction in the street yard setbacks from a 25 required street yard down to a 15 and 12-foot street yard. And then they also are asking for some relief on the minimum square footages for each of the townhouses. Our townhouses require, in the RM4, 2,900 square feet, and they're asking for a reduction down to 2,300 square feet per unit for some of those. So that's the reason why we're having the PUD overlay for the entire property for this. In return for the PUD overlay, we are getting other site amenities, private parks, larger open spaces and everything throughout the project. So we are asking Commission tonight to consider and give us direction to authorize us to set the public hearings for these 3 development projects.
Thank you for that overview, Jim. It is my understanding too that we have a presentation from the developer on this topic.
Yes, if we could switch over to the monitors for the presentation, please. And then you should have control of that then. Is the green light on? Okay.
Jim, are you able to share that on Teams?
That I don't know.
I-
You should be able to control that there.
I think he's working on it in the sound booth.
Yeah, thanks.
Hold on, John.
Okay, I can do it from here.
He's flipping, but I don't know if he can see it. Oh, did he?
Is it flipping now?
Yeah, but we have people virtual. So John Sparks, are you able to see the screen or hasn't it been shared yet?
No, it hasn't been shared yet.
Okay. I think, Jim, do you think he's working on it?
He was trying to do something.
He's coming.
Nothing really changed from when we saw the concept plan.
Yeah. I just wanted to go through a couple of renderings that I brought forward, but the rest of it I'll skip right through.
Okay, I'm just saying that the guys that are on remote, they have seen this, when they saw the concept plan.
Yeah, if this is the same thing as in the packet, I'm okay then.
Okay. I'll start by taking you forward through the first 9 pages, a little bit of my background. You've seen a number of our completed projects, a couple of our larger ones of 160 and about 260 units. Part of what the Tracy Cross report had recommended for single-family townhome and ranch villa products, and we're adhering to those on all the ranch villas, the townhomes, and a number of the single-family. I'll keep pushing forward here. This is the layout that you've already seen. The layout that's overlaying it into the different zoning categories is this page, which I believe is in your packet, correct?
The presentation wasn't, no, but did you put that?
It's pretty consistent to what I have in our zoning maps.
Okay. And then I can take you forward to show you what the parkland was gonna look like. I think we did that last time. The townhome central park will be right in the center of the townhomes. We're looking at a kids' play park in the single-family area, an exercise park in the duplex type area, a dog park and walking trails as well. We've had our architect come forward. We have a number of single-family elevations. These are preliminary, but they fit the 40-foot wide width that we had designed for the lots. The 40-foot pad, I should say, on the 52-foot wide lots. Front load garage, all 2-car, nice roof pitches. Then we had a ranch villa concept. Again, this is very preliminary. We're showing ways that it can be done and how we're gonna do it with the peaks and with pediments in the peaks, either with the 3-tiered pediments or even the single pediments as you'd see on the top right. And a lot of it is a mix of materials. So for example, the bottom one has a belt line to give it variety just of stones, so it has some variety in materials. The townhome concept, this is also preliminary from our architect. We're showing every unit having a balcony that comes out, everyone having a 2-car garage to the rear. They're ranging in square footage internally up to about 1,750 from about 1,250 square footage. I think it's a very nice plan coming forward, and we're planning on probably using the one on the left with different variations of color rather than going as dark as the one on the bottom right, but just bringing it forward for you to see what we're at and where we're doing. And then the schedule that we had gone over before. Are there any questions for me?
Go ahead, Jed.
Well, I'm not, if it's for Mr. Simon or if it's for staff, but when he was here last time, we heard the good news that these were all going to be owner occupied. Is that something that goes into a developer's agreement or is codified somewhere?
So it's sort of 2 components. One, so in this particular project, it's in a tax increment financing district. So there will be a financial development agreement put in place. There will also be a subdivision agreement that will be put in place. And then the planned unit development also requires a development agreement. That development agreement the planned unit development becomes essentially like the zoning. So what is in that document, if it says it's all single owner occupied, single family, 3 parks, so in terms of there'll be some relief, but then the way the ordinance works is there's supposed to be other things that the city gets. So we've talked about how there'll be architectural standards, I think within the plan unit development, the actual designs will actually be indicated in there with colors. So the idea is that it's a full package, so you kind of know exactly what's going to happen throughout there. And if for some reason in phase 3 something were to change, Mr. Simon would come back and get that planned unit development, amended for whatever reason that might be.
And we've also usually put into our covenants that if you're in a certain section, we allow up to like 15% of the units to be leased if somebody's out of town for the winter. Minimum 6-month rental period. So it can't be a Airbnb. So the intention is this would be 100% owner occupied.
Okay. Just so you're aware, we can't, there is state law that, since he mentioned Airbnbs, there's state law that limits what local municipalities can actually do with regard to regulations of Airbnbs. So anybody in this room who has a home could easily rent their Airbnb for what some people might think is a longer period of time than appropriate, but that's all based through the state statutes, so.
But if we do it as an association and put it into their declarations and say the leases have to be a minimum of 6 months, it sort of precludes the ability to do that. So it works for you guys. That's part of what I'm putting on it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
I have a question. When you guys come up with the setbacks, like in between and the front and back, what goes into deciding that you want to make them even closer together?
Part of what we're doing, if you look at the duplex section, right now we have 40-foot wide pads of 2 duplexes that are touching each other. So that common wall is actually 2 exterior walls, and you'll see the same thing in the townhomes. They're really all 2 families that are touching each other. We're designed at 40 feet wide. We're trying to get them down to 37 feet wide. So those double duplexes will have enough distance between them. I think it would be 11 or 12 feet so that they can be regular duplexes and not require the 0 lot line. Again, we're asking for it just in case. We're trying to do better than what we're asking for, but in case we aren't able to shrink them down to that size, we are prepared to go ahead and do what we're doing. And it's the same thing with the townhomes. Part of the reason the setbacks are so small is they're all rear-loaded garages. And doing so, the entrance to the front it doesn't need to be more than the less formal 15 feet versus a 20-foot. So that's sort of what we're trying to do there as well.
And if I may add to that, our zoning code has not been updated in many decades. Our multifamily component was written in a time frame when I think the intent was that you wouldn't necessarily have townhomes. You would have these multifamily buildings that sort of sit within a landscape with parking lots in between, so a very 1970s, early 80s sort of concept. And so it does make it a little bit more difficult to do a owner-occupied type townhome component from that perspective. And with the lower level garages that act with grades being tucked under, that also factors into, as Mr. Simon said.
And if there's ever a time anyone would like to see examples, they're built all over Chicago, and I can get pictures and send them to you. Just give me a call and ask, and I can show you different ways that they've done it.
Any other questions at this time? At this point, I will entertain a motion to direct staff to set public hearings at their earliest convenience on ZA 26001, ZA 26002, and where did I miss the first one? Oh, sorry, and Comprehensive Plan Amendment 45.
Move to approve.
Got a motion and a second by Mike and Jed. Thank you very much. Any discussion or further comments on those? There being none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you very much.
Do we know if we would see that next month then?
We would probably see it in April because the land use hearing requires a 30-day notice, and we don't have February and March, we don't have the 30 days in between, so we'll show up at April, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Yep, so at April 1st, and just as we're speaking of April 1st, as a reminder, because of the election, your planning commission meeting is moved to Wednesday the 1st, 1 week prior to the normal date, so we'll send out a reminder email, but just in case anybody has forgotten.
Thank you for that. Our next agenda item is a concept plan. You want to give an introduction to that, John?
Yes. This is a request for a discussion of a concept plan for mixed-use residential developments and two mixed-use residential developments and one single-family development. These proposed developments would include changes to land use, zoning, map amendments, and zoning text amendments. And I'm going to walk you through these. So there's essentially 3 areas. In the staff report, it's referred to as the north area, the central area, and the southern area. And I'll try to describe those a little bit as we go through. So just as a quick background, I'll summarize, and then the county does have a presentation for the commission. So Washington County is partnering with RegalWare to develop, as well as their property, Next Gen Housing within the city of West Bend. They're looking at approximately 200 new owner-occupied units, including single-family homes, duplexes, and townhomes. The project consists of about 49 acres of county-owned land, 17 acres of land owned by Synergy Ops that spans everywhere from Schmidt Road down to Water Street. There was an open house the county had last week on the 27th. We did provide some information from their websites on our report so you could access that information easily. And I'll just kind of summarize the different areas. So the north area, the project is adjacent to Synergy Ops, and I'm not, oh, yep, somebody has the image. Sorry about that. It doesn't help if I'm describing something and you can't see anything.
No, I need our stuff.
I'll move along just for time. So the project consists of land owned located between Synergy Ops main building and Schmidt Road, as well as some triangle areas to the north of the Synergy Ops parking lot. The proposal is for a development of 50 units in this area. They plan 15 single-family units with front-load garages, 13 single-family homes with rear-loaded garages off of a private alley, and the units along Schmidt Road would be 22 rear-loaded duplexes. The circulation is through a public street and one private alley. They are proposing a 25-foot landscape buffer along the western property line to screen the residential units from the activities over at Synergy Ops. And they are proposing a multi-use path along their plan right now. And I bring this up just because Public Works as well as city parks have indicated we do not have a system in place to maintain a multi-use trail in that particular location. The recommendation for staff is that Schmidt Road, the west side, be an urban cross-section, and that public sidewalks be installed in the areas that are having development along Schmidt Road. And public improvements in the area would also consist of water, sanitary sewer, private and public storm sewers, sidewalks, streetlights, etc. The central area, which would be just north of the county government center, contains some steep slopes, wetlands, floodplains, uplands. The county is proposing 2 streets in that area, both ending in a cul-de-sac. The county is proposing 47 units in this area. They would all be single-family units. Approximately the size of them would be a standard R4 zoning district as depicted. They would have those 3 new public streets with full improvements. In addition, the area that used to be Schmidt Road that was vacated by the city, given to the county, would actually be rededicated as a public street. So that's what you're seeing there, if you're familiar with that area. And then to the south project area, the project's located between Washington, Indiana, Water Street, and the Samaritan Home. It does contain currently the county office building. They're proposing 103 units in the area. They plan on 33 single-family units, 18 duplex units, and 40 townhomes. All units are planned to have reloaded garages off of alleys. They did have two alternatives they presented last week to the public at their open house, where 18 townhomes near the community gardens would be open space as an alternative. The circulation is the extension of Edgewood and Willow Lanes, and then a looping up onto Washington Street as a north-south connection. They have some green space, some detention ponds and other things, and then they're proposing public sidewalks through the whole area. Just wanted to go over real quick before we hand this off to the county for their presentation, just so you're aware. Some of the next steps will be that our comprehensive plan for the city would need to be amended. We will have probably zoning text amendments, zoning map amendments. We've talked to Max. There will probably be a transportation study that I think the county's already working on. Utility analysis will need to be conducted to make sure that our utility infrastructure would be able to handle this number of units. We would have development agreements, stormwater plans and agreements, public improvement plans, and probably a variety of easements. And then we'd also have platting either through CSMs or preliminary and final plats. So with that, I will turn it over to someone from the county. Deb. Deb is going to do the presentation tonight. And we probably need to pull it up now for you. So we need to, oh, it's up.
Yep, it's there.
Perfect.
Good evening. I'm Deb Silska. I'm the Community Development Director for Washington County. I am here with my team. We have Ella Stadel from the Planning Department. We've got SCH, Brian Depius, and Michael Court, and then Jackie Mitch from Vanderwall and Associates, and we're going to provide some information and some background on our development. This is a next generation housing development. So we're trying to achieve 40% of those homes at a sale price of under $340,000, another 40% under $360,000, and then all the homes to sell under $420,000. A little bit of a background on this development. The goal of the county board was to look at the land owned by Washington County and get that land back on the tax rolls, and at the same time provide some housing to fill that missing middle gap that Next Gen Housing has been trying to do. The vision for this development was established by the Washington County Redevelopment Task Force this last summer. They had 4 meetings. We talked about some of the conditions, the historic data, next generation housing, site conditions, community need, and then we worked with Vanderwall and put together some concept plans for this development, and those were reviewed and approved by the County Executive Committee just this last October. So to get into the details of the concept plan, I'm going to hand it over to Jackie Mitch from Vanderwall and Associates.
Thank you. Good evening. I just wanted to share a few details about the type of housing that you'll see in the 3 concepts. The first is your conventional single family. You'll hear us call these street loaded or front loaded, where the driveway is at the front of the lot. You'll see these in all 3 of the concepts in your packet. The second type is an alley accessed single family. So this is a format that you're familiar with here in West Bend. Basically the driveway, there is no driveway at the front of the lot, but rather the homes are accessed by an alley at the rear that is shared with their neighbors, and the garage is located at the rear of the home. This is a format that was very common pre-World War I, and as I mentioned before, you'll see throughout West Bend. And this is a format that we've utilized in the south concept, primarily and especially because we do see this format west of Indiana. And so an objective of ours in this design was to continue that neighborhood character and pattern to the east, especially for the south side. So I'll talk about that a bit more as I get to that portion of the presentation. Another important aspect of the single-family alley access format is it does allow for a narrower lot because there is no driveway in the front or the side of the home. We can have narrower lot width, and that allows us to fit more homes within a given neighborhood. So when you're considering the cost or affordability of developing, in many neighborhoods we'll have the same fixed amount of infrastructure costs, but bringing in more residential dwelling units for a given neighborhood really helps with the cost control and achieving those desired next generation price points. So it's really a critical factor in the design of these neighborhoods. It also comes with added benefits, as you can kind of see in the slides here. Because there are no driveways interrupting the front of the lots, you have a continuous sidewalk along the whole block, which is a nice effect. You can have your kids bike on the sidewalk the whole length of the block without worrying about a car backing up into them or any other surprises like that. It also does maximize on-street parking as an added benefit as well, since there are no, instead of parking between the driveways, you have basically the whole frontage available for parking. Another format you'll see in here are duplexes. You'll see in these concepts that the duplexes are all alley accessed when they are utilized. Here are a few examples of some alley accessed duplexes. And then finally, townhomes. I know based on previous presentations this evening, you're all familiar with these. These are a great option for folks who maybe aren't interested in maintaining a full backyard and are just looking for a nice place to live without a lot of extra yard work. They're also, I should point out, one of the more cost-effective housing formats included in these neighborhood concepts. So again, they're a critical part of our neighborhood design. And so from here, I'd like to show you the concepts. Your community development director did a very thorough job of explaining these, so I won't repeat anything that's been said already. For this one, I just wanted to note that I know Mr. Ellis pointed it out, but we do have an extra buffer on the west side to create more livability for those homes that are closest to the Synergy Ops facility. And so as we move forward in the design process, we'll spend some more time on figuring out what exactly that buffer is, whether it's vegetation or fence or a combination. And this concept includes 50 units. Second concept, this is our central site. A key organizing feature for this site is the presence of natural resources, as was mentioned previously. So as the design process moves forward, we'll take care to make sure all of these lots are not included in the floodplain, make sure we're avoiding wetlands as we are required to do so. One point I'll make here is that because these lots are surrounded by open space, we see them as potentially more desirable than some of the other lots, and possibly a place that a lot of people would be really interested in living. And so for that reason, we're anticipating that these homes would be priced more at the higher end of the next generation housing price points, but again, still within those ranges. Last thing I'll say here is that we will look carefully about cost effectiveness for this concept, as they're just at the conceptual level, we're seeing quite a bit of infrastructure cost associated with these homes and a low number of lots being generated. And so that's something we'll have to look closely at as we get into the cost, financial feasibility of all these sites. And then finally, we have our south site, as was mentioned before, and there's two different alternatives for this site. As I mentioned at the beginning of my slides, we're continuing that neighborhood pattern from the neighborhood over on the west of Indiana Avenue. So you can see that Edgewood Lane and Willow Lane on the west are really just continuing right into this neighborhood. And so the hope is that these would blend seamlessly with the existing development rather than being kind of an interruption in the existing neighborhood. So you'll see a number of duplexes and single family accessed by alleys. On the south end of the neighborhood, you'll see we have townhomes that would actually front onto the Washington County Community Gardens. So we really see that as an asset to the neighborhood. I could imagine certain people seeing the opportunity to live in a townhome that looks right into the garden and maybe even rent garden space from that garden would be something that would be appealing to some people, and so it's something that we're looking at closely. There's also townhomes proposed on the northeast part of this site. As was mentioned before, it's located in a pocket park, which could be shared with, for the whole neighborhood, but then also shared and accessed by residents of the Samaritan campus to the east. So it's just a great way to stitch this neighborhood in with surrounding land uses and provide some great green space for the community as well. And then right here is our alternative version. As was mentioned before, we wanted to show a version that had more single family included. You'll see that if I could go back here, this first version has 103, and this second version has 73. We're showing townhomes again on the northeast, but not on the south side near the community gardens. We're showing open space instead in that location. And then all of the homes in this concept are single family. So in summary, there's an estimated 200 new owner-occupied homes across these three concepts, all of them meeting the next generation housing price points, as you can see on the slide, but all of these would be $420,000 or less. And I think Deb has these next slides. You ready for the open house?
So it was really important for Washington County to have an open house, just to gather the insights and concerns of the public as we're working through the concept plan. So we sent out, I believe it was over about 200 invitations to the residents in the area, and invited other key members of the public just to hear what they had to say. So we had about 30 people, not including the county staff or city staff in attendance, so I thought it was a really good turnout. They were asked to fill out public comment forms. We had 10 individuals that filled out the form, either at the event or after the event. And then we also had plans set out that the public could come in and write comments right on the plan. So we asked them, we have a little survey, we asked them, you know, what was your overall support of each of the concepts on a scale of 1 to 10? So 1 meaning they have no support, and then 10, they have absolute support of each one of the concepts. And again, we had those 2 concepts for the south site. So as you can see, the most support was for the central site, and in between the alternative 1 and alternative 2, there was more support for alternative 2, which is all the single family except for the townhomes by the Samaritan. So we also asked about their overall support for each element within the concept plan. The mix of different housing types, whether they wanted single family front-loaded garages or alley-loaded, what they thought of the multi-use trail, connection to the Eisenbahn Trail, and preserving wetlands and open space. And we had there's actually a full review of a full summary of the public input on the county website that you can look at, but this was just a really quick overview. So there's quite a bit of support for these components to the concept plans. And then lastly, not only did we hear the comments and concerns that people had written down on the plans and also on their surveys, but some of the things that were mentioned as part of the presentation. On the north site, residents felt that there was a good use of space. Residents did not favor the duplexes on the concept plan on the north site, and they really preferred all single family. There was a couple of residents that did comment about the noise from the Synergy Op site, especially when the garage doors are open on the north side. That can be heard in the neighborhood. In the central site, the residents really liked the location of this neighborhood. The south side alternative 1 as well as the alternative 2, there were a lot of concerns raised about the traffic issues on the intersection of Indiana and 33, and we do know that we'll have to do a full traffic impact analysis on that as part of this development. Residents also felt that the townhomes on the southeast corner of the design were just too repetitive, too similar to what we're seeing southwest of that site. And they also, again, felt that they liked the number of units in alternative 2 versus alternative 1. There's just a little too many units. But I thought it was a very good exercise to get that public comment before we come to the Plan Commission and share all that information with you. So.
Thank you very much for that presentation and those comments. There's a lot for us to digest.
There is, yeah.
Not only the presentation, what you shared this evening, but also the more extensive feedback that you received that I believe you've shared with John that has not necessarily made it to this commission as of yet, as well as commentary that we and city staff are already receiving from the public that we need to all digest as well. That's not coming through the county, but coming directly to city staff as well as our community development and the Plan Commission. I will open it up if there are any comments from the commission at this point, any thoughts. Again, this is a conceptual presentation at this point in time. And I think as John laid out the next steps, of which there are many in this process, there will be plenty of opportunity for additional comments as we look through this, as well as opportunities, I believe, as a part of the process for public hearing regarding zoning and things of that nature. So that will all be future state, but appreciate the presentation. So if any of the commissioners have any comments that they would like to provide while Deb and team are here this evening, please do so. Mike, go right ahead.
What goes into the decision on site, on the south side, whether or not you're gonna have the open space there or the townhomes?
I think that's something that we're gonna be looking at. We do take the public comment heavily into consideration, and we really are trying to establish more single-family homes versus townhomes. That's something that we will look at very closely as we go through the engineering process and start formulating the preliminary plat.
So I know there's some concerns about the community garden, and it's already full. I mean, you could expand it if you did do something with the.
Well, that's
green
actually,
space.
yeah, that's actually very interesting because we had the representative from the community garden do a presentation at the task force last year. It was an amazing presentation. It is so valuable. And that's why we decided not only to keep it intact, but also potentially provide that buffer to it. And in the presentation, she actually made it very clear that they're not interested in expanding, but there's always that opportunity with having that extra space in the future.
But she said it is full, right?
I'm sorry?
They're all rented, though.
They are, yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. And Jed, go right ahead.
I understand that we're only giving input for the concept, so I've got questions about that are more specific, but I'll keep it at the big picture. And that is, I just have a concern about the north site that I can't get rid of. This is an industrial area. I suspect that if this parcel, this land was being sold to a private developer who came to us with a proposal for residential, I don't know that we would approve it. And I don't know that we should approve it simply because the goal of affordable housing or missing middle housing, because no matter what the motivation is, the land use issue is the same. And you don't put residential housing next to a solar farm and next to manufacturing. And you sure don't do, if you're gonna do it, with a 25-foot buffer. That's insane. But the north side concept is, I'm not really in favor of that.
Thank you for that. Jed, any other comments?
I would share that same exact concern. that buffer and industrial thing.
Oh, and if I can add something, I forgot. If the county, well, actually, this isn't county land, it's Regal land. But if Regal wants to sell the land, that's fine. But it is then keep it industrial. If they don't need the land, they're certainly free to divest themselves of it, but not in this manner.
Could I respond to that?
Go right ahead, Deb.
I certainly can't speak for Ryan Regal, but I do know that in the conversations that we've had, he's been very supportive of next-gen housing, and he's a true proponent in ensuring that there's enough housing for his workforce. And this was one of the ways that they wanted to give back to the community, is being able to provide housing that his employees could afford. And so the partnership with the county and Next Generation Housing just seemed like a very good fit. And we have a great partnership already established with Next Gen Housing development in the village of Quorum, the Regal Place site. As well, so that was some of the motivation.
Thank you for that, Deb.
I will mention that Ryan was on the task force this summer, so there was a lot of conversation, questions, different things, so he was quite involved in it from that perspective. We also talked, the task force also talked about different types of scenarios for buffering, so this is the one that the county has, kind of chosen to move forward with at this point, but maybe some of those other buffering or more details on the buffering may be worth, exploring.
Thank you for that, John.
There's, if I could speak.
Oh, go right ahead.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, there is, I believe in your packet, a profile that shows the distance between the two homes, and then the 25-foot buffer, and then we believe it's almost about another 50 feet until you get to the building. So it'd be about a 75-foot buffer altogether.
It's on slide.
I don't know if you could pull that up.
Jim, can you switch, or do we have to have the booth? Oh,
That's just
no, yeah, Deb doesn't, we need to get your PowerPoint off the screen, and then we can put up the one that Jim controls. There we go. There we go. Jim, it's slide 92 is what, keep going.
Yeah,
There you go.
That's it right there. So you can see there's about a 75-foot buffer from the home, the lot to the building.
Any other comment on that, Jed?
No, I think I've made my point that, I'll just leave it at that.
Fair enough.
I don't know who would want to buy a single family, who would want to invest a home in this neighborhood. And I don't know that we should facilitate it, even the experiment under this situation.
Any other questions, comments? There being none, thank you again. You've heard some of the commissioners' feedback. I think as I mentioned at the onset, this commission needs to take some time not only to review the additional feedback from the public hearing, which a number of us did attend, in detail, as well as feedback we've received directly. Appreciate your time and sharing this with us. I think this in totality is an exciting development for the city, within the city of West Bend, to fill that gap that is that middle market that we are missing, that we've seen the studies on. It's something that as a plan commission and a council, we have been looking at very, very closely as we've been looking at developments, including other next-gen developments within the city of West Bend. And particularly when you look at the southern end and the continuation of the existing neighborhood area, which is one thing that for me is near and dear to my heart, having grown up not far from that subdivision, as well as being on the Little League board, which would be in close proximity to that. The way that it fits in with the existing footprint of that neighborhood, personally, I think is very well developed in terms of that concept. So again, thank you for sharing your concept tonight. And this body will take that and all others into consideration and then look at what those next steps and timing will be.
So I just had a question, because we're trying to be responsive to the public comment and comments from the city. And we've been working closely with the city over the last 6 months. And is it possible for the city to share some of the public comments so we can incorporate those into our plan?
Yeah, the one set of comments we got at 5:15 tonight, so, just in the nick of time of the meeting, so I can share those with you.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. Great, thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you. I believe that was all that we had on our agenda for this evening. Any other items for the good of the commission? There being none, we'll consider this meeting adjourned. Thank you very much for being here and for your time this evening.
Thank you much.
What the heck is going on here?
Yes, I don't get that. Well,
Because he's concerned about his workers, well, give the land away then.
yeah,
That's
to me, that's what this.
I don't want to get